We're going to start off where we left off on that last video. This is still Chapter 3, PowerPoint lesson. This is Part 2. We're back at the troubleshooting slide again. The real thing that you need to do is identify the specific remedy for this problem. You're going to watch a video, real talented guy. I think you'll enjoy it.
Have you ever experienced your AC not cooling? Or maybe you've had to call a repairman for some air conditioner troubleshooting help. Well, in this video, we'll talk about 7 things homeowners do to cause problems with their air conditioners. Even though they might seem obvious, HVAC companies get called out all the time for an AC not cooling, and find out sometimes it's one of these. Come on. Bet you didn't even realize you might be causing your own air conditioner problems. If nothing else, I hope this video can educate you just a little bit on some simple AC troubleshooting steps you can try next time your AC is not cooling. In real estate, they say the most important thing is location, location, location. Well, when it comes to your air conditioner, the most important thing is airflow, airflow, airflow. You know, in real estate, they say the most important thing is location, location, location. Well, when it comes to your air conditioner, the most important thing is airflow, airflow, airflow. Sorry.
I just want to take a little break in this video. I thought something's comical. If you look at the name tag, the any hour, let me erase this thing that's popped up there. Any hour service, it says electrical, plumbing, heating, and air conditioner. Do you have a guess where this company is located? It's got to be located up in the north, because air conditioners last on its list. There's places in the north, Maine, where air conditioning is almost not used, or somewhere in a place like Summit County, Colorado at 8,000 feet. They don't use a lot of air conditioning, but it's last on the list. Here in Florida, air conditioning is always first on the list. Sorry for interrupting. I'll get right back to it.
Deja vu. In the video about how an air conditioner works, I said this. So how do air conditioners work? Well, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces, even more than we've got time to show in this video, but they all have to be working together in order to get cool air in your home. And if even one of them stops working, you could experience a variety of problems. The end result usually being no cold air. And nobody wants that in the middle of the summer. We had a cool illustration that showed how everything works. Whatever. If you want to watch it, just click right here. So these 7 things that homeowners can do to cause air conditioner problems, they can be broken down into 2 main categories: airflow and communication. I think we'll start with airflow. At the outdoor or condensing unit, you want to make sure you uncover the unit if you covered it for the winter. If you've got bushes or shrubs close by, keep them trimmed back at least 12 to 24 inches. Keep the top cleared as well. Get it? Protected airspace. Never mind. The system pulls cooler air in over the coils to help dissipate the heat that the refrigerant just extracted from the home. Then the warm air is exhausted out of the top. If either one of those are obstructed, you just might end up with an AC not cooling. Now inside. Make sure you know where your air filter is. Depending on where you live around the country, it might be at the furnace, it could be in a return air vent. Just know where yours is and be sure to check it every month. Replace it as needed. I can't stress this enough. This is one of the easiest and also one of the most neglected maintenance items there is. Not because we mean to neglect it, but because it's so freaking easy to forget about it. So set a calendar event or maybe have your phone remind you to check it. Matter of fact, hey Siri, remind me to check my filter every month.
Okay, I'll start reminding you.
Imagine that. It worked. I've also thought about setting something up where homeowners could opt in to receiving a text message every month to remind them to check their filters. Pretty cool, huh? Do me a favor. If this is something you would find helpful, leave a comment below and let us know. Anyway, if you neglect to check your filter and keep it clean, you could end up with an AC not cooling. This next one surprises most people when they hear it for the first time. You know those rooms in the house that you're not using anymore? So you close the doors and the vents because you think it's going to save energy by not heating and cooling them? Hate to burst your bubble, you could be having the opposite effect. It creates a negative pocket of pressure that You know what? Trust me, it just doesn't help the way you think. If you want some light reading, we put a link in the description below to this 74-page report by Berkeley Laboratories that explains in excruciating detail more than you'd ever want to know on the subject. What about the ones you're accidentally covering with furniture or rugs? Whether intentional or not, the effects are the same, so keep your supply vents and your return air vents as clear from obstructions as possible. Category 2, communication. Just another way to talk about the thermostat, really. Now, the thermostat is what reads the temperature in the living area of the home and then tells the air conditioner when it's getting too warm. There's a few things that can actually interfere with that communication. When this happens, you may think your air conditioner is not working, but really, it just never got the message to turn on. Here's a few things that you want to check at the thermostat. Now, most thermostats have batteries, so see if you can pop it off the wall and change the batteries. Make sure to change the thermostat from heat to cool. If you forget to do this, you might be trying to get colder temperatures, but if your thermostat is set to heat, it'll never send the message to turn the air on because it thinks it's doing what it's supposed to. Now the last one, double check the programming on the thermostat. Let me try to explain. Let's say you've programmed your thermostat to 72 degrees, indicated by the red dotted line, but you're most comfortable at 68 degrees, indicated by the blue dotted line. When 72 degrees gets too warm, you go to the thermostat and manually lower it to 68. It gets cooler and you feel better. But your thermostat is designed to time out, if you will, and return to the original programming set at 72 degrees. Then you get too warm and you manually go and adjust it to 68 degrees again, and so on and so on and so on. It's easy to see why someone might think that their air conditioner isn't working properly if they're constantly having to manually adjust the thermostat. So if you're constantly having to adjust yours, double check the program settings to make sure it's a temperature you're comfortable with. This will minimize your need to manually change it. Well, there you have it. The 7 things homeowners do to cause their own air conditioning problems. I hope this information saves you from having to call a technician out for help. But don't forget, your air conditioning system has lots of moving parts and pieces, so if it wasn't one of these, it may have been something else. If you've tried these steps and you still find yourself with an AC not cooling, and you have to call and get some air conditioner troubleshooting help, whether it's your neighbor or an air conditioning company, make sure they're a certified HVAC technician. NATE certified if possible. They should be able to get you up and going pretty quick. If you found this video helpful and entertaining, give us a thumbs up. If there's anything else you'd like to know about how your electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning systems work in your home, leave your suggestions in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe so you get notifications when the new videos come out. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.
I've been watching YouTube videos for 20 years, and since I was in this industry and on my own business, I always thought of a way to get people to understand the best things they can do and why they should call me. This was actually the best video I think I've ever seen ever, but it seems kind of strange to say that, but it is.
Person bathroom.
Sorry that took a while to get off that video. Service manuals. Let me tell you something right up front. If you get involved in an installation of a piece of equipment, you have to make sure the service manual is there if a permit was pulled. Because not only does the code require you to put things in properly, make sure that they're the right part for the job, all these things that you have to do to make sure it's safe, including the electrical that we talked about before. But you have to have the service manual there because written in the code is that you have to follow manufacturer's instructions. So you want to put a unit sideways, that you want to put a horizontal unit as you want to put a vertical upflow unit as a horizontal unit, and it's not set up that way by the manufacturer. Even though you can do it, you can't do it, and that will get you in a lot of trouble. And so it's one thing when you put in a unit, until it's inspected, make sure the install instructions are sitting on the side of the unit. Usually the air handler inside is the best place to put it because he'll look at that too. Because if he doesn't have them and he's a stickler, he'll make you pay another fee for him to come back out, and that'll make you look bad. So those written by the manufacturer instructions, you need to make sure those are kept at the unit, not in your truck up on the dash. Help diagnose the service malfunction systems. The manual is really good for that. They have back pages. You having a problem, you look it up. It'll give you 5 things that you have to check. You'll probably get to know those real quick, but it's good to always have them. Some units are different than others. Troubleshooting charts. I just mentioned they're great. Avoid hasty decisions and quick fixes, which may lead to callbacks. Callbacks, usually you don't get paid for. Your boss said you should have fixed it right the first time. Makes your company look bad. People get fired for callbacks. It's not something you want to do. There's nothing wrong with looking at the entire unit. I know everybody wants to get home because it's 5 o'clock on a Friday and they got plans tonight. No, you got to stay there and do it. You got to look at everything. And I'll cover that a little bit more in the invoice portion. But if you don't find it now, they'll find it later and blame it on you. You're the last man that touched it. System controllers. These things have tons of things that will tell you what's wrong with it. This board in a furnace will usually have a little glass or plastic viewing, so you can look and see how many times the yellow light or the red light or the green light's blinking, or a combination of 3. And you look in the manual or the back of the door, and it'll tell you what that code means. So you get to go right to it. You know exactly what's wrong with it. Check status light. Sometimes they'll tell you that it's working fine or it's not. And it mentions trouble codes or vary by manufacturer. Troubleshooting chart. This is what you'll find on most units. If you take number 8, dirty filter, clean and replace. Boy, that was hard to do. But these are pretty simple things, and you can look at these later. Identifying the problem. Listen to the homeowner complain. We talked about a little bit about this. Sometimes it's really hard to get a straight answer out of them because the wife finds out what's happening. She's getting her nails done on Saturday when you're there, and he doesn't know. I don't know. She said it's just not working. So it's kind of hard. But if you do your due diligence and check everything, which you should do, it doesn't matter what they tell you, because you'll find it if you check everything. Every part, every component, you make sure they're working. Sure, it takes a little bit more time. But again, you don't look like the back guy when you say it's working. A week from now, it stops working again. Consult electrical or component diagrams on the doors of the units. And don't make a quick decision. In air conditioning industry, there's an old phrase that I haven't heard in a long time, but think zebras, not horses. So when you hear a hoofbeat, you think a zebra, not a horse. You think the odd thing, not the thing. Because again, if the unit's iced up, indoor coil's iced up, you might think, oh, it needs refrigerant. There's a few other things that are kind of odd that would make it happen. And again, putting refrigerant in, it's not going to solve it for the long term. So always think zebras. Look for the odd thing before you settle on the thing that's most likely it. Identify trouble codes. And here's your trouble code status. Plate, this is usually inside the furnace, or some the high dollar systems like the Carrier Infinity has the computer is built into the thermostat. You go in there, you hit a button, it tells you all the trouble codes it's had since the last time, and then when you're done, you clear it out. So the next time you just know the new trouble codes. For case number 5, 5 flashes, defrost failure. That means this is a heat pump, and when it was supposed to go into defrost, it skipped over the cycle for some reason. They're probably a bad part. Possible causes and suggested remedies. Check the troubleshooting chart, which just went over. Test components on the list. Test everything. Anything you can get on. Most of your electrical components take a few seconds to test. Once you get the door off on the outside unit, you can test everything in probably about 5 minutes. There's no reason not to. Perform appropriate tests by suggested troubleshooting manual. Step-by-step procedures. These are high-tech. Some of these units are very high-tech, and it might take you an hour to go through one item because they want you to check everything. And if you don't check everything, you're going to miss that one item. Get ready for part 3.